What's up, Superdads? How you doing? So this one is going to go out specifically to my hard gainer brothers out there. I am the quintessential hard gainer. I don't think that the term, I believe it's ectomorph, which is the sort of skinny body type, the sort of morphology science, it just hasn't really been, shown to be at all accurate. But if someone were an ectomorph, it would have been me. I mean, my wrists are super thin. I can totally touch my wrist on either side, and my ankles are I can almost touch around my ankles. That's how thin my joints are, and that generally tends to be a good sign of how difficult it will be for you to put on muscle. However, since I stopped growing up and started sort of lifting and getting into sort of muscle building and that kind of stuff, I've managed to put on 35-ish pounds of lean muscle. So I'm pretty happy with that. And this has been my secret weapon. Honestly, it's my secret weapon. And I'm just giving it to you. And it's wonderful because it is super adaptable. And we'll talk about that in a second. But let me show you what it is. Bam, right there. Now you might be thinking, fresh and fit? How is that your secret weapon? No, dummy, the stuff inside. I have no idea what fresh and fit is. It's what's inside here that's the magic. Now, this is a shake recipe that I actually got. This is a bit embarrassing, but I got it off a website that was meant for women. I believe it was called Bony to Bombshell or something like that. It's for women who wanted to add curves to their bony physique. I was looking at it totally for someone else, not for myself. And I found this recipe that was like, hey, here's a great way to add a lot of nutrition to your daily routine without spending a whole lot of time at prep, and it will really help you build muscle. And so this is the basic recipe. It is milk, okay? About a cup of milk. You can put a little more in. This one had a cup and a half, so that's the calculations. I'll be using a cup and a half or so of milk and 3 raw eggs. Just whole eggs, crack them and drop them in, okay? And then according to this recipe, that was it, right? And then you put in some cinnamon. They had like vanilla essence, because again, this is a website for ladies, so they use stuff like that in cooking. I dropped that stuff pretty quickly. So basically what I do now is I just crack 3 eggs, pour my milk in, and add protein powder. And sometimes I'll put in a banana or maybe a little tiny bit of honey. If I'm if I'm trying to really bulk, I would add those things in, right? And it's a fantastic way. It's what I eat, what I drink sort of at night, not super close to bed, ideally, because you're going to be digesting it, but it's also easy to digest because it's all blended up, right? But really fantastic in terms of just giving you a calorie bomb if you're trying to build muscle, which is absolutely necessary. You need that stuff to build the muscle with. You also need nutritionally dense foods, and these are whole foods, right? I put protein powder in there. That's not a whole food, but eggs, whole eggs are basically nature's multivitamin. They're amazing. It's all sorts of good stuff in them. And milk is a whole food, and you're getting just a ton of high quality calories from that. And so one of these shakes, right, you're rocking somewhere between 50 and 60 grams of protein with that, because the whole eggs provide 6.3 per egg. So you're up to 19 there. And then you got the milk on top of that with the protein powder. So it's a ton of calories if you use it all whole like that. But if you're a hard gainer, then that's what you need. But here is where the real magic of this shake comes from. And that is, I basically drink this shake every day, year round, or rather some version of it. Now, I just went through a cut and I lost 10 kilos, which is about 22 pounds or something like that. None of it muscle, basically all of it fat. And the way I did it, I didn't track anything. I didn't have to track at all, because what happened was I got up to, a weight where I struggled to gain more, where I felt like I was forcing myself to eat, right? Where it was actually getting so expensive that it was difficult to, make some room in the budget to keep putting food in. And so that was where I was like, all right, I definitely need to cut. Also, the time of year worked out. So, I cut back down, and here's what I did. I didn't reduce what I ate for my meals. I didn't really change what I ate for my meals. What I did was I just took the shake that I was already drinking, and I switched from whole milk to skim milk. Okay, and that alone drops me down about 100-ish calories, depending on the kind of milk you're using, the kind that you're going, and 100 calories is not a ton, but if you're at maintenance, 100 calories can make a difference. When I'm working with clients, I generally like to take them, drop down something like 100, 150, a small amount like that to start. And if you can see movement on the scale, right, then there's no suffering involved, and you can squeeze more out of it that way. So I just switched to skim milk. It's exactly the same drink except for skim milk, and lo and behold, I drop a couple kilos just from that, right? And once that weight loss stops, you just start switching out whole eggs for egg whites, and you can go one at a time, 2, 3 as necessary. But by the end, if you are switching out these things, just the milk and just the eggs for skim and for egg whites, you end up cutting out about 280 or 270 to 280 calories from your daily meal, that's quite a lot, right? That's like for most people who eat around 3,000. Now, I was eating more than 3,000 when I was bulking, but for most people who are eating around 3,000, that would be a 10% cut, which is a pretty good cut to put yourself in. So there you go. And I would push that and just stick with that until I had lost. I lost probably 5 kilos just doing that, and that's 12 pounds, something like that, maybe a little more. That's a pretty easy switch. Now, obviously, you can also tweak it, right? Now, let me say this, though. I am kind of a large person, right? By the time I started my cut, I was like 230 pounds, not kilos, 230 pounds, and I'm 6'5". So maybe you would not need as many eggs or milk as I do, right? But that's all I did to lose, 12 pounds of the 22 that I lost. And after that, all I did was take the stuff that I was already eating and just eat a little bit less, especially of the carb source, because I'd already cut out mostly fat with the shake, right? So one of the really nice things here is when you go from whole milk to skim milk, you're not really losing that much protein. You're basically just losing fat, and you're not losing carbs, so your performance shouldn't suffer that much. And then when you cut out the eggs, the whole eggs, as long as your nutrition, you're getting enough nutrients elsewhere in your diet, you're basically just losing fat, right? The protein part of the egg is very much so the white part of the egg. So again, you're just cutting out fat from your diet. So you're cutting out almost 300 calories worth of fat just by making that shift. And then, you reduce the carbs a little bit from what you're normally eating, and voila, you have significant fat loss from that without really reducing your protein. So your muscles should stick around pretty well. And guess what? When it's time to bulk, it's real easy. First, I start by slowly increasing the calories that I'm taking from my meals through carb sources. So you get to feel strong, your muscles get to feel full. And then you just start adding back in whole eggs instead of egg whites, and then switching to whole milk. And before you know it, you've gained a bunch of muscle. So this is really, honest to goodness, this is the secret weapon that really changed things for me, because I struggled to eat enough, and so I was taking those like weight gainer shakes forever, and man, they're just full of all these. Like, the amount of chemicals in it is unbelievable, and like the number of calories in this, it's it's almost 60 grams of protein. So what do you have there? 240 calories just from that. And then depending on what you're putting into it, you could be looking at, I believe I calculated 600 something calories, something like that, for the whole milk and whole egg version. So it could be anywhere from, maybe about, what would it be? About 50 to about 600, just over 600, something like that should be the range. I mean, you'll have to do the calculations for your own milk and that kind of stuff, because it will change in your own protein powder as well, of course. But how much better is that than taking some mass gainer, some huge mass gainer thing that's just a bunch of chemicals, and it's going to give you 600 calories. Is so easy. So especially for you guys out there who are hard gainers, I absolutely recommend doing this. And I know for those of you out there who, like me, are dads, especially with small children, right? I mean, your kids probably only eat things that have melted cheese on them, right? And it can be really tough to get high quality nutrition going in your house if you're having to cook meals for the kids and meals for yourself and your partner, or whatever it is. Time, it's expensive. And hey, the last thing I'll say about this is milk and eggs, almost regardless of where you are on planet Earth, right? I mean, I live in Japan, and in fresh vegetables and meat can be very expensive here. Like, it's much more expensive here to get protein here than it is in other places. But eggs and milk are not that expensive. I mean, I've got a client in the Philippines, same deal. He can't really get his hands on protein powder, but eggs and milk, not that expensive. These are pretty dirt cheap things almost anywhere you go. So you're not going to break the budget. It makes a huge difference. So I hope that this helps, because I know how frustrating it can be to struggle to gain weight and feel like you're stuffing your face and you're not getting anywhere. Combined with proper training, this I think could potentially be a game changer for a lot of you. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate the attention, and for everybody who comments and says that they love the content and all that kind of stuff. I mean, honestly, really appreciate it. I really do. And I'll keep bringing you the best ideas that I can come up with. So if you want to check out any of the courses, they're going to be down below. Remember, there's a Facebook group that you can join, and please do, and tons of free information and interaction and support and all that kind of stuff if anyone out there is struggling. All right, thank you so much. Take it easy.